China shows the world how to put an end to jihad. The authorities still can't figure out why someone named Mohammad Yousef Abdulazeez suddenly started killing people. 11 signs that America has already gone down the toilet, and the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community says God has got religion all wrong. My name is Howard Riell, and this is Real Truth. You're listening to the American Freedom Network, streaming live around the world at AmericanNewsNet.com and on Facebook, and in the book Real Truth, Stay Angry. And of course, as always, broadcasting out across the Colorado Front Range on KHNC, Johnstown, Colorado, 1360 AM The Lion. The call-in number is 877-254-7524. My friends, welcome back. You know, they say never talk about religion or politics. And so in typical Howard Riell fashion, I will now address both. Item from The Advocate. I quote, "Let's face it, many major religions have not been kind to the LGBT community. Most Christian denominations preach that same-sex relationships are sinful, and some, invoking the name of God, subject LGBT members to harmful conversion therapies. Some Muslim imams call homosexuality one of the greatest of crimes and recommend the death penalty for gays and lesbians. Orthodox Jewish sects prohibit homosexual conduct. Many of us in the LGBT community who may have felt a desire for spirituality have suppressed our potential beliefs because of the way organizations and institutions have chosen to treat us. It doesn't have to be this way. On Monday, I had the incredible honor of being installed as the first openly gay president of the Central Conference of American Rabbis. This conference, the rabbinical arm of Reform Judaism, North America's largest and oldest denomination, has a remarkable history at the forefront of advancing LGBT and human rights that includes a 1977 resolution calling for the decriminalization of homosexuality and an end to discrimination based on sexual orientation. My installation coincides with the 25th anniversary of a CCAR resolution calling for the ordination of openly gay and lesbian Reform rabbis. I am proud of the conference's progress and proud to bring my experiences as a social justice advocate to this role." Unquote. My friends, because this individual is referring to herself as rabbi, I'm guessing she believes she's Jewish. Is she Jewish? Well, that's a question. If her mother was halakhically Jewish, that is Jewish according to Jewish law, or if she converted according to Orthodox law, then she's Jewish. But there's certainly nothing about what she says or what she believes that is Jewish. When they talk about accepting gays and lesbians, if an Orthodox Jew says we do not and cannot accept homosexuality, it's not because that person is a homophobe. It's not even because of her own personal opinion. It says in the Torah that homosexuality is wrong. Well, it doesn't really. It says it's an abomination. That's the word that's used. Now, if this quote-unquote rabbi wants to rewrite Judaism, well, I guess she can, but it's not Judaism anymore. It becomes something else. If gays are seeking spirituality and looking for it within the corpus of Judaism, which goes back 4,000 years to Abraham, 3,300 plus years to Moses atop Mount Sinai. If they're looking for that Judaism, authentic, real-life Judaism, straight from the Torah, to embrace homosexuality, they are due for disappointment. It can't, won't, never will be able to, because God doesn't waffle on issues. God is forever, and He's all-knowing. And when He says something is right, it's right. When He says it's wrong, no matter how many Reform rabbis say, no, it shouldn't be wrong. By the way, in the Jewish community, you should know that people generally spit on the ground or something when we talk about Reform Judaism. They are a disgrace. They are a departure from Judaism. How many of them are truly Jewish according to Jewish law? I have no idea. It doesn't really matter because they regularly spit in God's face. They preach that it's good to spit in God's face, and so I have no truck with them whatsoever. But let's be very clear about this. The issue of gays and Judaism Judaism rejects homosexuality. Period. No matter how you spin it, no matter how you splice it, it simply does. And if you don't like that, I invite you to go outside in the street, shake your fist at the sky, and tell God what you think of him. But the fact of the matter is God's law doesn't change. Never has changed, never will change. It is constant and forever. And if people aren't comfortable with that, then I honestly and sincerely do feel sorry for them. And if they think that they can somehow change God's law, then they're living a fantasy. Any more than you can say 2 and 2, it's going to be something equal something besides 4 because we want it to. 2 and 2 is 4, no matter how much you jump up and down. And so to those who are practicing an alternative lifestyle, my heart goes out to you because you simply will not find a warm welcome in real, honest-to-goodness Judaism. Now, you personally may, but the practice of homosexuality is forbidden. A gay person can certainly come into a shul and will be welcomed with open arms. But the practice of homosexuality is forbidden. I'm sorry, my friends, if I was a politician or maybe a man of the cloth, I'd be happy to lie to you so you'd like me and you'd send in your donations and we'd all walk away happy. Unfortunately, the show is called Real Truth. And there are truths in this universe that don't change. One of them, well, a lot of them, are found in the Torah, which does not change. And if that leaves you feeling lousy, I'm sorry. Not my intention to make you feel lousy. But to think that you can bend, twist, and convolute Judaism to suit your particular need doesn't happen. That's what invalidates Reform Judaism. It's what invalidates just about all of conservative Judaism. The Torah doesn't change with the times. It doesn't blow with the winds of local mores and popular opinion. The Torah is forever. And if you really, really want Judaism in your life, you better get jiggy with that fact, because that is the central column of the entire edifice. And once you take that away, the whole thing collapses. And that, my friends, is some very, very real truth. I'll be back after these words. Feel free to call in if you want to disagree with me and God. We'll be right back.
Howdy, folks. Have you ever thought about having your own backyard chickens? Now you have a source for certified organic, no GMO, no soy chicken meat. HappyHens.biz can even deliver, or you can pick up. Call me, Tim, at 303-829-5948. Or go to HappyHens.biz for pricing and ingredients. At HappyHens.biz, we love HappyHens.biz. Call us at 303-829-5948. Great Plains Power has been providing reliable electrical power systems in the Rocky Mountain area since 1992. Our systems rely on the sun to help make you self-reliant for your power needs. Solar energy can be scaled to fit any situation, from computing power independence to backup power for the short term. Our expertise focuses on standalone power, but we have extensive experience with utility interactive systems as well. Custom catered capabilities as modest as emergency lighting all the way to commercial scale power. Great Plains Power is a full service company. We service everything we sell. We provide and design turnkey packages, custom design system, and parts for do-it-yourself. With more than 20 years of specialized experience at your disposal, let us know what your power concerns or goals are. Reach us by phone or the internet. Call 303-239-9963. That's 303-239-9963. Or go to GreatPlainsSolar.com.
Nutritional balancing by GoHealthyNext.com will expertly assist you in optimizing your metabolism, teach you safe detoxification techniques, and help you rebuild your health. I think a Dr. Wilson practitioner specializes in programs and resources that will assist you in repairing your health using scientific methods. If you have fatigue, stress, pain, cravings, inflammation, negative emotions, and adverse reactions, you need to get nutritional balancing at GoHealthyNext.com. That's GoHealthyNext.com. GoHealthyNext.com.
by the way, my friends, I wasn't kidding. If you want to call in and talk about it, 877-254-7524. Feel free. I'm not going anywhere for the next 45 minutes. Item from the South China Morning Post. Police in Shenyang, Liaoning province, have shot dead 3 suspected terrorists and arrested a 4th. The 3 men from Xinjiang were waving long knives and chanting jihadist slogans when police opened fire at a rental home in the downtown area on Monday, the police bureau said. The officers also arrested a 28-year-old woman, a Uyghur from Xinjiang, who was injured in the shooting. Police said more than 200 armed officers had been sent to the rental home to subdue the 4, who were suspected of involvement in a terrorist case on June 12th. A police statement did not say what the case involved, but said that in the past month, 16 people have been arrested in connection with it. Xinjiang authorities said in May they had broken up 181 terrorist groups over the past year. The development came as a senior police official said poor intelligence and porous borders with Southeast Asia were hindering China's efforts to stop the flow of ethnic minority Uyghur Muslims heading to Turkey, where many go before joining up with Islamists in Iraq and Syria. Hundreds, perhaps thousands of Uyghurs keen to escape strife in their far western Chinese homeland of Xinjiang have traveled clandestinely via Southeast Asia to Turkey. Stop. The last sentence is the most important one. Hundreds, if not thousands, of these Muslims have been keen to escape strife in far western China. In other words, China is hassling the Muslims, making it impossible to wage jihad, either passive or aggressive jihad. They're subduing them with violence, in this case shooting them, and teaching the whole world a lesson. The lesson is that Islam isn't playing games. And they certainly don't play PC games like we seem to enjoy doing. When they get out of line in China, China drops the sky on them to the point where they're fleeing China. That's how you control jihad. And that's exactly what we here in America are not doing. Instead, we're making the exact same mistake that Europe has made and continues to make. We're allowing Muslims to get more and more and more of a foothold here. We're afraid of saying anything that would possibly offend them. And so America's dying because its enemies are getting stronger and stronger. Related item from CNN, headline. I'll just read you the headline. Authorities say Chattanooga shooter's motive still remains unknown. Stop. My friends, talk about being willingly blind, deaf, and dumb. Chattanooga shooter's motives remain unknown. Who knows why he did this? Could be anything. Maybe he was suffering from depression. Maybe he lost his bowling ball. My friends, the guy's name is Mohammad Yousef Abdulazeez. Do you really not know his motivation? This is a case of government not only being stupid, because government is almost always stupid. It's a case of government compounding its stupidity with even more stupidity. It's like driving a car with your eyes closed. There's going to be a major crash. And when it does happen, innocent people are going to be killed. That's government. Unable, unwilling to do things right. Because after all, the one thing it subsists on is popularity. And you don't want to do anything that'll make you unpopular, right? And if innocent people need to be butchered in order to stay popular, well, I guess that's what the government feels has to happen. Item from MiddleEastMonitor.com. The Israeli Knesset has passed a bill allowing Palestinian youths convicted of throwing stones at Israeli occupation forces a maximum 20 years in prison, Israeli media reported. Unquote. My friends, one sentence, 2 big problems. First of all, Middle East Monitor refers to Israeli occupation forces. There are no Israeli occupation forces. There are Jewish soldiers in the Jewish homeland, on Jewish land. What's the problem? The only occupation forces are the Palestinian Nazis. Number 2, I outright reject 20-year prison sentences for Palestinians who are throwing rocks at Israelis. Absolutely wrong. I oppose it with every fiber of my being. 20 years in jail? No. Not a good approach. Better to shoot and kill these kids while they're heaving those stones. Shoot them where they are because they're terrorists, and terrorists have to be killed. Can you say that on the radio? I just did. Item from photographyisnotacrime.com. The Massachusetts Civil Service Commission has found that the Methuen Police Department docked points from applicants who told them that they'd be willing to arrest fellow officers or relatives for drunk driving, while praising those who stated they would not. The information came to light after Michael Phillips, 26, who works as an auxiliary officer in the nearby city of Lawrence and an armored car company, filed an appeal when he was turned down as a reserve officer in Methuen for stating that he would arrest his parents for drunk driving. The city cited a lack of discretion as their basis. Unquote. So here's this cop candidate who said he would follow the law, and in this particular police department, that disqualified him. Show of hands. Any question about why America's in the toilet? I'm fielding no. Item from WBEZ.org. A Chicago investigator who determined that several civilian shootings by police officers were unjustified was fired after resisting orders to reverse those findings, according to internal records of his agency obtained by WBEZ. Scott Ando, chief administrator of the city's independent police review authority, informed its staff in a July 9 email that the agency no longer employed supervising investigator Lorenzo Davis, 65, a former Chicago police commander. IPRA investigates police brutality complaints and recommends punishment. Davis's termination came less than 2 weeks after top IPRA officials evaluating Davis's job performance accused him of, quote, a clear bias against the police, unquote, and called him, quote, the only supervisor at IPRA who resists making requested changes as directed by management in order to reflect the correct finding with respect to OIS and officer-involved shootings, as officer-involved shootings are known in the agency. Since its 2007 creation, IPRA has investigated nearly 400 civilian shootings by police and found one to be unjustified. My friends, here's a question I want you to wrestle with. Why do people hate cops today? Why are some people shooting at cops? I haven't got a clue. Item from the Daily Beast, Dateline Chicago. 3 people killed by police in Chicago should be alive today, according to a retired cop who says he was fired for reaching that conclusion after investigating their deaths for the city. If the allegations made by Lorenzo Davis are true, then the authority charged with investigating the Chicago Police Department for police shootings and claims of misconduct since 2007 can no longer be trusted. Unquote. Item from techdirt.com. The NYPD doesn't care for transparency. Its relationship with open records requesters ranges from frosty to antagonistic. It even employs its own in-house, completely arbitrary classification system in order to prevent even more of its documents from making their way into the hands of the public. And despite policies specifically mandating the preservation of records, NYPD officials were apparently preemptively deleting certain communications to ensure they'll never be made public. Unquote. My friends, let me ask you a question. Why do people hate cops today? And why are people shooting at cops today? I haven't got a clue. Item from techdirt.com. Muckrock has a story of Alex Richardson seeking information on the IRS's whistleblower office, which has been receiving some scrutiny lately. Richardson filed a bunch of Freedom of Information Act requests and discovered that the IRS apparently would like to make his life as difficult as possible. First, he got an infamous GLOMAR, neither confirm nor deny response, which was supposed to be limited to national security issues. However, with at least one request, the package with the CD just arrived, and Richardson was dismayed to find the contents of the CD encrypted. Unquote. My friends, let me ask you a question. Why don't people have any faith or trust in their government anymore? I haven't a clue. Item from mintpressnews.com. The Los Angeles Police Department is coming under fire after it was revealed that police officers have been routinely tampering with video and voice recording equipment. The department is often at the center of controversy and police brutality protests, making the disabling of dozens of patrol cars' monitoring systems even more problematic. Records and interviews show that the LAPD regularly disabled such monitoring devices, particularly upon entering the inner city. Unquote. My friends, I have another question. Why do people hate cops today? And why are people shooting cops? I have no idea. Item from the Free Thought Project Dateline, Punta Gorda, Florida. It is no question that if fellow officers blow the whistle on their peers for breaking the law, they will be shunned and their careers will be over. The blue code of silence, as our friend and former Baltimore cop Joe Crystal has shown us, is not to be broken. Crystal attempted to expose an officer who beat a handcuffed man and was subsequently threatened and his career ruined. The Free Thought Project has worked with many cops and former cops whose careers have been ruined after they exposed corruption in their departments. Unquote. My friends, let me interrupt with a question. Why do people hate cops today? And why are some people shooting at cops? I still can't figure it out. Item from Raw Story, dashboard camera footage of Sandra Bland's arrest shows the arresting officer mocking her when she said she was epileptic and threatening her with his taser after trying to pull her out of her car. The video shows State Trooper Brian Encina telling Bland, quote, "I will light you up," unquote. My friends, there's one question that occurs to me. Why do people hate cops these days? And why are some people shooting cops? I can't think of an answer. Item from Reuters. The family of a Tennessee man is asking for state and federal help after police hogtied him during an arrest at a concert in Mississippi, and he later died, the family's attorney said Tuesday. Troy Good, 30, a chemical engineer from Memphis, died Saturday at a hospital 2 hours after police arrested him in a parking lot at a concert by the band Widespread Panic in South Haven, about 15 miles south of Memphis, said attorney Tim Edwards. Unquote. My friends, have you come up with an answer yet to the question of why people hate cops and why some people are shooting at cops? If you're stumped, so am I. Item from the Free Beacon. 2 Russian nuclear bombers flew within 40 miles of the California coast, and one of the pilots relayed a veiled threat during the July 4th aerial incident, defense officials said. Unquote. My friends, ever hear of anything called air defense? We're kind of, sort of like not supposed to allow foreign nuclear bombers within 40 miles of our territory, right? Isn't that true? Isn't that correct? And yet we did. Where does the buck stop in the federal government? Stops on the president's office. So the president should be, at the very least, fired. Item from Breitbart. Breitbart, Texas has learned the 2016 Republican presidential hopeful Donald Trump is heading to the Texas-Mexico border to get a first-hand look at the current border security situation. Trump is expected to meet with Border Patrol agents at the Laredo sector. We look forward to giving Mr. Trump a boots-on-the-ground perspective on the Laredo sector of the Texas-Mexico border, said National Border Patrol Council Local 2455 President Hector Garza. Mr. Trump is expected to be in Laredo later in the week. Garza told Breitbart Texas that following the border tour, Trump will have a town hall-style meeting where law enforcement officers will be invited to provide feedback on their perspective of the border situation. Breitbart Texas Managing Director Brandon Darby worked with Agent Garza to prepare for Trump's border tour. It is of utmost importance that possible future leaders of our country visit the border region, especially the Laredo sector. Most Texans and other Americans hear that the Texas border was secured, but it wasn't. The Rio Grande Valley sector was supplemented with manpower from the state of Texas, but that mostly stopped where that sector ended and Laredo sector begins, Darby added. Mr. Trump will learn firsthand of the many holes and vulnerabilities that the Los Zetas cartel exploits to enter Texas and oppress their victims. Unquote. My friends, an absolute disgrace.
There was a man sent from God whose name was John. This man came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, that all through him might believe. He was not that light, but was witness of the light. That was the true light which gives light to every man coming into the world. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 6 through 9. Are you wild about what is going on in the headlines of the day? So I'm Daniel Wild, Dr. Dan DeCown, a graduate of the School of Hard Knocks. I'm sorry, no degrees after my name. But I'll tell you what, I'm taking the temperature of America, and there's people. And Americans wild about freedom. Sundays, 2 to 5 on 1360 Ohio.
An emergency preparedness plan for your home, car, school, and office is a must. Knowing how to store water safely, survive extreme temperature changes, provide reliable shelter, first aid, and sanitation is critical. Knowing where to get the best lights, radios, and other supplies is easy. First Survival, located at 3366 West Broadway, is a professional, reputable, full-service business providing realistic preparedness supplies at affordable prices. Stop by online or call 303-781-0343, 866-781-0343.
Great Plains Power has been providing reliable electrical power systems in the Rocky Mountain area since 1992. Our systems rely on the sun to help make you self-reliant for your power needs. Solar energy can be scaled to fit any situation, from complete power independence to backup power for the short term. Our expertise focuses on standalone power, but we have extensive experience with utility interactive systems as well. Custom tailored capabilities is one of us at emergency lighting all the way to commercial scale power. Great Plains Power is a full service company. We service everything we sell. We provide and design turnkey packages, custom design system, and parts for do-it-yourself. With more than 20 years of specialized experience at your disposal, let us know what your power concerns or goals are. Reach us by phone or the internet. Call 303-239-9963. That's 303-239-9963. Or go to greatplainssolar.com. Now this is the testimony of John, whom the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, "Who are you?" He confessed and did not deny, but confessed, "I am not the Messiah." And they asked him, "What then? Are you Elijah?" He said, "I am not." "Are you the prophet?" And he answered, "No." The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 19 through 21.
Yes, we are back and doing everything we can to avoid controversy at every step. Howard Riell, the show is called Real Truth. Let us proceed. Item from CNN, Dateline, Washington. Hillary Clinton trails 3 top Republican presidential candidates in head-to-head matchups in Colorado, Iowa, and Virginia, a new survey shows. The latest Quinnipiac University swing state polling released Wednesday shows the Democratic frontrunner trailing former Florida Governor Jeb Bush, Florida Senator Marco Rubio, and Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker in each of those states. Unquote. My friends, more and more people are catching on to the truth that Hillary Clinton is a repugnant form of life. And God help the entire planet if she were ever to become president. On top of which, she just strikes people as a hateful mollusk. And more people are getting that message. So Hillary Clinton, I think her days are numbered. Let her recede into the background and stay there. Item from Reuters. An Israeli court jailed 2 brothers from a far-right Jewish group on Wednesday for an arson attack on a Jerusalem school that has been a rare symbol of coexistence in the Riven city. Shlomo and Nachman Tweedo were sentenced to 2 years and 2.5 years in prison, respectively, for the overnight November 29 attack, in which a classroom at the Hand-in-Hand school was torched and "Death to Arabs" daubed on a wall in the yard. Unquote. My friends, let's grow up, finally. Let's be adults. There is no coexistence in Jerusalem. There isn't. And if there appears to be, it's only temporary. The Palestinians want to kill Jews and take Israel, starting with Jerusalem. Anything else is illusion. Now, I've been asked how I feel about these two young Jews burning the school, and I'm against that. There's no reason for that. There's no need for it. And there's also no reason and no need for Arabs to be in Israel. They need to be elsewhere. They need to moved out immediately. And as I've said before, I don't much care if they go in buses or in boxes, but they need to go. Item from Michael Snyder of the Economic Collapse blog. Just when you think that the depravity of the United States cannot possibly get any worse, something else comes along to surprise us. Many of the things that you're about to read about in this article are incredibly disturbing, but it's important that we face the truth about how far this nation has fallen. There are times when I'll be having a conversation with someone else about the state of our country, and the other person will say something like, wow, America's really going down the toilet. At one time, I would have totally agreed with that, but at this point, I would have to say that we have already circled the bowl and have made it all the way through to the other end. Our society is absolutely addicted to entertainment, most of which is utter trash. Tens of millions of us are hooked on drugs, both legal and illegal. And we've murdered more than 56 million of our own babies. Our financial system is consumed with greed. We treat our military veterans like human garbage. And most of our quote-unquote leaders in Washington, D.C. are deeply corrupt. In America today, 64% of all men view pornography at least once a month. It's estimated 1 out of every 4 girls is sexually abused before they become adults. And we have the highest teenage pregnancy rate in the entire industrialized world. We like to think that we are an example to the rest of the world, but the only example that we're setting is a bad one. The following are 11 signs that America has already gone down the toilet. Number 1, all over the U.S., the body parts of aborted babies are being bought and sold, and the U.S. government gives the organization at the heart of this sick industry hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Number 2, just a few days ago, we learned that hackers had stolen personal information from 37 million users on an adultery website known as Ashley Madison. 3, my friends, let me stop for a second. I am all against adultery, but be real. If you're going to cheat on your spouse, are you then going to broadcast it on the internet? Or is that the definition of too dumb to live? Number 3, rates of violent crime are increasing by double-digit percentages in many U.S. cities in 2015, and some of the crimes being committed are almost too horrible to talk about. Okay, well, I'm not going to talk about them. Number 4, under the Obama administration, our federal government has become absolutely obsessed with political correctness and is spending money in some of the most bizarre ways imaginable. For instance, the feds recently spent $125,000, quote, to study adjectives that could be perceived as sexist or racist. Number 5, speaking of pouring money down the toilet, the Obama phone program is a perfect example. It turns out all you have to do to get a free cell phone from the federal government is show them someone else's food stamp card. Number 7, the federal government has made it exceedingly difficult for law-abiding people to immigrate to this nation legally, but meanwhile, they've left our borders completely wide open and have actually encouraged people to immigrate illegally. As a result, large numbers of criminals, drug dealers, gang members, and welfare parasites have become pouring in. Unquote. My friends, do I really want to say something that incendiary given what Donald Trump has had to deal with since he said it? Yeah, I do. Item number 8. Our society is being transformed into what I like to call a Big Brother police state control grid. Just a few days ago, we learned of another example of this phenomenon. I'll skip past it. Number 9, just recently I authored a piece which railed about the fact that the average American citizen spends more than 10 hours a day plugged into some form of media. Many of us become extremely anxious if something is not playing, at least in the background. We spend endless hours watching television, listening to the radio, going to the movies, playing video games, messing with our smartphones, and surfing the internet. Sadly, what most people don't realize is that more than 90% of the programming that's being continually pumped into our brains through these various media outlets is controlled by just 6 absolutely enormous media corporations. Number 10, at the same time that the elite are endlessly pumping their twisted messages into all of our minds, they're becoming increasingly obsessed with controlling what the rest of us say. In one recent article, I explained how support for hate speech laws in America is rapidly growing. Today, 51% of all Democrats support these kinds of laws, and it's only a matter of time before liberal politicians start pushing really hard for the same kind of hate speech laws that have already been implemented in Europe and Canada. Number 11. On top of everything else, we've been stealing more than $100 million an hour from future generations of Americans while Barack Obama entered the White House. Let that sink in for a moment. If someone were to write a movie script about the theft of $100 million from a major financial institution, nobody would ever actually want to make the movie because such an amount would be too hard to believe. But this has actually been happening every single hour of every single day while Obama has been in power. In a frenzy of insatiable greed, we've been taking trillions of dollars that belong to our children and grandchildren and spending it on ourselves. When you break it down, it comes to more than $100 million every single hour of every single day. This is a crime of unimaginable proportions, and if we lived in a just society, a whole bunch of our top politicians would be going to prison for this. I could keep going, but I'll stop for today. So what do you think? Is there any hope for America? I'm just going to let that question hang there, my friends. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more Real Truth. Okay, Facebook friends, I'm about to log off. I will post this on Facebook sometime this afternoon, early evening, something like that. I know you're waiting with bated breath. So take the worms out of your mouth and wait for it, because it will be coming. I promise. Share it with everybody you know. We got to get this stuff out amidst the general public. I'll see you tomorrow. Hasta luego.